This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining me today at Minds and Money here in London is Mark Sale, the CEO of First Class Metals. It's very good to meet you in person.
Finally,
Mark, yeah. I know.
I'm so close.
Oh, you look a lot more attractive in person than you do on the Zoom.
And you've changed your tie.
Well, I only have a couple of ties.
Well, there you go.
So I've changed
nice to see you.
Especially for you. Yes, nice to see you. So you've been here for 3 days. What's it been like?
It's been full-on hectic. In fact, Sinead, who's the organiser, asked me, was it a good Minds and Money? And I said, well, ask me in a couple of months' time. I mean, yesterday we barely had a free slot. It was back-to-back the whole day. And when we did have free time, people were dropping by. In fact, we've had a couple of people come by out of interest to see what we're doing because there's always been so many people here.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone from investors to the Toronto Stock Exchange to interested public.
Wow.
Yeah,
so if you can give me an idea of the vibe then, the mining vibe, can you give me an idea what it feels like to be here? Do you feel there's interest in the space? Do you feel there's money interested?
There's a lot of interest out there for the right projects, and there's been a lot of interest in us because without patting James too heavily on the back, people are just astounded with the respect that we've been able to list and maintain the momentum in such ominous, arduous markets. And really, it was hard. I've said this to you before. The listing process was hard, and all credit to James getting us through it. But now it's come onto my shoulders to make sure that we can keep performing. Now, okay, I know you're going to ask me about West Pickle Lake, and that's out of my hands as far as performance is concerned, but it's something that we're very excited about.
Good.
But it's only part of the portfolio.
Indeed. Well, since you mentioned West Pickle Lake, we'll start with that then. We only spoke about that, I think, a week or so ago.
Last press release, yes.
Yeah, and of course we were waiting that hole 70 that we anticipated last time. Exceptionally high grade at 3.1%. That's come out, hasn't it? I'm
going to have to refer to my cheat sheet. Yes.
Well, I do have a few things here. Nickel over 10 meters, 12.8% over 2.3.
Yeah, not only are the nickel equivalent or the total metal content figures high, but the actual absolute values of nickel are high too, and they are approaching economic widths. Okay, that's in one hole. Now we have to replicate it over not only a number of holes, but over several hundred meters. And that's what I think Palladium One will be trying to accomplish now. They've told us that they now have 2 rigs on site. We're not sure how long they will be drilling for. Of course, they're using flow-through money, which has to be spent before the end of the year. So I would think you'll see a full-on drilling program by those 2 rigs until the end of the year at least. And don't forget also, they have now the benefit of the downhole EM, which will be able to give them a lot better vector as to where they should be not only infilling from holes 70, 59 and 60, I think were the other spectacular ones, but also extending that.
Excellent.
So exciting times ahead.
Exciting times ahead. It keeps coming. It's hole 76 as well. You mentioned it before we started recording. So.
Hole 76 is an interesting one. That's not on the joint venture earning property. It's on the Palladium One property, but it's very close. It's within a few hundred meters of our boundary of North Hemlow, which is 100% ours.
Okay.
And the target that the feeder dike that they think they've intercepted, it trends to the southwest, which is onto our property. So that's also an exciting hole for us. No results yet, and possibly the results won't be spectacular like 70, but it's indicative of the system extending outside the West Pickle Lake area and onto North Hemlow.
Excellent. Well, we can anticipate hole 76 then at some point.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some other recent news, and it's Essa. Now, we haven't spoken too much about Essa recently. You've had the VTEM, you've reinterpreted the VTEM and to identify an east-west trending shear zone.
Yeah.
So
now, I think I have to clarify again here. The geophysical survey was a combined magnetics and EM. VTEM is actually proprietary to Geotech, but it's EM.
Okay.
The electromagnetic part is the important one. We didn't do VTEM on North Hemlow. We've acquired VTEM for Essa. We've reprocessed it and reinterpreted it by PGW, the people who are doing North Hemlow. And it's the mag aspect of it which they have found the most useful. In all honesty, they said the EM part helped them identify the lakes. But the geophysics of it, the magnetics of it, has highlighted what Tony Starling pointed out to us, this shear, which we knew existed from extrapolation from the east and the west, but now we're pretty sure that we can hang our hat on that shear, to the extent that I had the guys out in the field doing north-south soil lines across the shear, which is virtually east-west, okay? It's accurate east-west. And we've got about 450 soil samples now in the lab waiting for them to come back. So quite excited about those.
Good. I picked up something else from the RNS. You talked about using algorithm-based remote sensing.
Oh, well done you.
Can you elaborate any more on this?
No one else has come back to me on that one. I did discuss that with James. I said, we think it's a bit cheeky to put that in. I'm discussing sort of intelligent learning technique using algorithms and Astor Imagery, which has quite a number of, I can't remember how many different bandwidths, shortwave bandwidths, and interrogating those as a learning pattern. For example, saying this is the coordinates of Dead Otter Lake, learn it. This is the coordinates of West Pickle Lake, learn it. This is the coordinates of Hemlow, etc. And it takes those algorithms, looks at the different bands of shortwave, including infrared, etc., and it pixelates them and understands them. And then it says, I'm going to look for some more. So then it goes out and looks for other similar templates on our property. The vegetation cover isn't an issue for it because it's shortwave, it's not just visible light. What it can't handle is snow, ice, and obviously water.
Okay.
So we've put it out to these people I've had a number of presentations with, and I'm very impressed with their work, and they're going to put a proposal to us. So yeah, it's just typical first class, being slightly tangential, out of the box thinking. Hey, it's not new. I used it in Australia, remote sensing Astor Imagery. In fact, the Astor Imagery we're using is 99 because it's still some of the best as far as the choice of bandwidth. So yeah, it's just something slightly
different.
Yeah. But that's us. We're innovative.
Yeah, sounds like it. Just a final point then on Essa. Then, what can the market look forward to? What are the activities going to be in the near term?
I think with Essa it will be the soil sampling results.
Yeah, the 450.
Hopefully to identify an anomalous shear.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget also the guys have been out there prospecting. They haven't taken a lot of rock samples because there isn't a lot of exposure, though they did find outcrops of shear where we think sheared rock, where we think the shear is. But also they found boulders, and Bruce McLaughlin, who's heading up Emerald Geological Services, who does the work for us, he's worked in that Hemlow area and at Hemlow for a millennium. No, you're not that old, Bruce. And he's found boulders on Essa which says you could take this down to Hemlow and they think it came from Hemlow. So I'm not trying to be promotional, I'm just being descriptive and honest in the rendition of the facts.
Okay. Well, we can look forward to the results of those 450 samples as and when they come. But thank you very much, Mark Sale, the CEO of First Class Metals, for joining us today at Minds and Money here in London.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.